No, it wasn't Garrick. It was before I met Garrick.
Chris.
Michael Childers.
Oh.
Michael Childers knew who I was. And Michael Childers, the wonderful photographer person, we call him the showbiz mayor of Palm Springs.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see the Natalie Wood?
No, I got to watch it. That's on my list.
Okay, look at it. Michael Childers prominently featured in it because he did some of the most wonderful photographs of Natalie Wood.
Oh, okay. I'm definitely.
Yeah, so so Michael Childers I was on the down low. I was hiding out down here in Palm Springs. And Michael took me to the first Women in Film Awards. I was his guest, sat at the table, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I was very impressed. And then Michael Childers took me to another event. And then, I was a Childers person. And because I became a Childers person, I became a Palm Springs person. And there went the down low. Oh. And then I was still kind of on the down low until Palm Springs Women in Film introduced me to Melissa and gave us, and then I met you, Mr. Tristan, there because you gave our girl the award.
That was it. You're out. Sorry.
I'm out. And then
you can still write the book though.
Do you remember an agency called Chasen Park Citron?
Of course.
Yeah. So this is the first agency I called. I got out the telephone book and just flipped down through agencies, and that popped up. So I invented this bullshit line about who I was, where I was from, etc. And there's a guy in there called Milt Melnick. Remember him?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. So I go in there for an interview with him, and he basically said to me, "We can't hire anybody with an accent like yours." And I said, "What's wrong with it?" He said, "Well, it's just totally uncommercial, and we can't go for that." Well, 6 months later, I had General Hospital. And they took it and took the accent, boom, 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 boom. I get a call from Milt. "Come on in, we want to talk to you." I said,
"Yes."
Okay. So I go in there and I'm having a chat to him. He said, "Well, we'll take you on and you can start paying us commission." I said, "Commission for what?"
Exactly.
You didn't even get me the fucking job, for Christ's sake. "No, well, that's the way we work it here." I said, "Yeah, well, good luck. Goodbye." Gang. Got up and walked out. That's the end of that.
So Tristan, who was your agent, and who were the people involved in your career that you liked the most?
The people that actually I was with, I joined a commercial agency starting up, and they then decided to get into the theatrical side of things and said, "Would you like to do that? Because we know you've got a lot of experience." And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to." And so the first job they sent me up for, they said, "Look, there's this soap opera. It's called General Hospital." I had no idea at the time. I was working as a builder's laborer. And they said they're looking for an East African. They don't know what a fucking East African is. Just go in there. The hell, just do it. So in I go, right? And there's one other guy in there. And so help me, he's Australian, and I know him.
Oh.
He was the big deal in Australia. This guy was a major star. And we're just sitting there chatting, and he goes in there and does his thing, and then he leaves, and then I go in there and do my thing. And there was the casting director. His name leaves me at the moment. And one other person. And so I do the reading, and I'm told, "Come back tomorrow." I gotta go back tomorrow. I go in tomorrow, and there's more people in the office. Like it went from 2 people to 10 people. And so I do the reading, and I leave, and they say, "Well, can you come back tomorrow?" "Yeah, I'll come back tomorrow." So I come back tomorrow. This goes on until Friday, and I turn to my about to be ex-wife at the time, and I said, "I know I've got this role. They're just going to string it out And by the time we did the final reading, there was about 20 people in the office. There was all the heads of VP, daytime. There was all the bigwigs are in there listening to this reading. So comes Monday, and I had, one of the usual cattle call commercial reads, about 50 people, and you know what they're like. So I'm in there, and I said to my wife, I said, look, this is the phone number. If that call comes through, I said, I'd really like to hear about it. She said, fine. So I get in there, I'm walking through the whole process. The room's crowded. I hear this person screaming from across the room, is there a Tristan Rogers here? So I go, yeah, that'd be me. So I walked over and I picked up the phone, and it's Barbara, and she's screaming, you got it, you got it, you got it. I'm going, yeah, that's nice. Okay. Well, we'll talk soon. Goodbye. Hey, take your job and stuff it up your ass. Bang, and I walked out, and that was it. I didn't know at that point it was only a 2-day job. I might have been a little more circumvented at the time. But, it turned out to be after the first day's filming, Gloria said to me, we decided we'd like you to stick around a bit longer. And I kind of thought, well, I was an idiot. I said, you want to have dinner with me? She kind of looked at me as to say, oh boy, I got to educate you. and that was it. That was the start of it. It went from 2-day to 5 years right away.
Crazy.
Yes,
Yeah.
wonderful.
It was a good time. It was a great time. I can't ever think that 1981 will ever be a better year for daytime than it was. General Hospital.
It wasn't. There wasn't a better year. There just wasn't. So tell me, guys, where did this
Show?
Zoom show
Teresa?
It gives us an excuse to have a drink with some people that we want to have a drink with and listen to your story along the way. And I can't put it any better than that.
Yeah. Teresa had the idea. We thought we'd coattail on Tristan's name. And then, maybe it would be entertaining for other people. So we just did a couple, and people were like, yay, thanks for doing this.
And it's Palm Springs. They needed a novelty gay guy.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh yeah, that's why we picked you.
No,
Because you're awesome.
we were texting that night, and I had several drinks, and I said, hey, Garrett.
When was that?
Well, besides the last, how long have we been quarantined now?
2 months.
Right?
And I said, Garrett,
9 years.
Garrett, do you want to do a little online virtual show? And he said, yeah. And I said, Melissa. And she said, yeah. And then the next day I told my husband, because he was already in bed. I said, oh, and by the way, we're going to do a little show. And he goes, oh, okay.
Good for
Little
you.
did I know.
It was more for us.
Yeah, just to distract us, but it's been
So that we
fun.
could see each other.
And
And
And for me, it was just an excuse to have a few drinks.
And
so,
that too.
yeah.
But Teresa, I was watching the one that we did with Sherry Belafonte and her husband. And when it ended, all of a sudden, the YouTube went to the very first episode. And I'm like, oh my God, that seems like years ago.
I know.
And I'm like sideways and I'm on my phone because I hadn't even figured out Zoom yet. It's just hysterical.
It is.
And Sherry's an old
Oh, I love
She's
her.
amazing.
friend of mine. Yeah.
And very amusing. Got a lot of stories. I mean, yeah,
Oh,
that's what this is really all about.
How could you not be Harry Belafonte's daughter and not have a ton of stories? Come
Yeah.
on.
Right?
Yeah.
You would have to. I did in LA, because I talk so much, I did a podcast called Here's to You, Ms. Robinson.
Oh, wow.
Okay? It
I love
lasted
that.
it lasted only a couple episodes, because a couple of weeks later I moved to Palm Springs and it was over. And so I couldn't get any of the people that I was doing that with come here and do it with me here. And ever since I've been here, I've been wanting to do a podcast called Me, Gays, and the Grays.
That is so awesome.
That's cool.
Come on, somebody
That is
help me.
way cool.
Somebody help me put this together.
Yeah.
I have
Do that?
so many, since I've been here, I have so many, what I call husbands, which are my gay husbands.
Teresa has a lot of them too.
I have a lot of husbands.
And now I've discovered a gay husband. Said, I don't know if I want to be a husband. I think I'd rather be a lover. So he's now a glover.
Ooh, that sounds kind of.
And
Love
I am a strife, which is a straight wife.
Ah,
Oh,
Yes.
that's what I have a lot of.
I have lived all these years all over the place and back again. I lived for 19 years in Beverly Hills. I built a house. I had millions of dollars. I've lived in the valley. I have never lived any place that I have felt as comfortable in as I have in Palm Springs.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
Commercial for Palm Springs, and you're going to need that.
I love it here. I just love it here. And I don't know what it is. People seem to accept me and like me. And all we all ever want is to be accepted. But truthfully,
Absolutely.
sometimes I really don't give a fuck. But the truth is, we all want to be in our community. And when Michael Childers and Women in Film basically invited me into this community, and then I met my little Garrick over there. Mwah! Who's my date. He's my. I don't know if he thinks he's my husband, but he is.
Yes,
There's certainly worse places to be quarantined than Palm Springs.
that is true.
I have to say, Tristan, that is so true. I have said to people, if you ever wanted to be quarantined any place, it's right here. I know so many people who are hiding undercover here.
Yeah.
Some very famous people who are hiding undercover here in Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Because there's space. But the truth about me is I don't go out. I am 84. I'm not pushing this shit. When I hear Dr. Fauci and all those people talk about the vulnerable age group being over 80,
Right.
and my newest boyfriend is the Instacart delivery guy.
There you go.
Yes. Well,
There you go.
Dolores, I was so close to calling you up, and then I'm like, I wonder if she wants to go see Shaka Khan, because she was supposed to be at Fantasy Springs on April 29th. This is like 3 weeks before that, and I said, oh my God, I just love her, and I bet you she would love to go see her with me. She's probably a friend of yours, because you're
Of course she is. Of course she is.
And then the shutdown, I'm like,
I went to her 60th birthday party. Go ahead.
Oh, wow.
I mean, if whenever I hear her, I have a Shaka Khan channel on my Pandora that I put on when I'm in the pool to dance to the music in the pool.
I could tell you stories, Garrick, on the phone privately.
No, you put it in your book.
But
Right.
I went to Fantasy Springs and took a young friend with me to Fantasy Springs to see Mary J. Blige. And
I love her too.
And now here's the lovely of being me in Palm Springs. The lovely of being me in Palm Springs is that I know everybody, because I've been in the entertainment business for so long, and I've done what I've done, et cetera, et cetera. So when they come down here, the people who go backstage are the people who know them. Mary J. Blige went backstage. Hallie went backstage. I went backstage. Oh my God, I went to see Patti LaBelle.
Me too. I was on stage with her. I got to try on her shoe.
When she
Oh,
was
I remember that.
Last year, I got a friend of mine had a bunch of tickets, so we were up in the front, and I'm like super excited. I was like ridiculous kid, and then woman, she was pointing at the show, and she's like, "Who's gonna watch my shoes? I can't stand on these anymore." I'm like, "Oh, well, I know I will." And she picked me, and I ran up stage and I put them on. I have tons of pictures. I'll send you.
That was you because she introduced me from the stage. She said, and my old girlfriend.
Oh, but you were in the front, right?
Yeah, I was sitting in the front.
Yes, I do remember that now. I think I might have it on my video.
She sat me down front and she introduced me from the stage, my old friend, because Patty and I have known each other from Philadelphia. We're both Philadelphia girls.
Well, did you know Rena Rowan, that owned Jones Apparel Group, Jones, New York? She married Sidney Kimmel, and then she ended up marrying Vic Damone.
Oh, no. The only person I know that married Vic
She was
Damone.
best friends with Patti LaBelle, and Patti LaBelle would come to Jones, New York, where Tony worked, and she would leave her huge diamond ring and with the girls in the back. So you got to look over my ring while I'm gone. She'd go have lunch with the owner of Jones, New York, Rena Rowan. And she'd come back and the girl would still be wearing her ring. And I mean, so when you're talking about the shoe, it's like, that just must have been her thing. She loved to just
I think she did it on every show. Did she do that, Dolores? Like she says, I can't wear these shoes, they're too high.
I kick those shoes off and go barefoot on stage.
And then somebody.
So the only person I know, Garrett, that you just mentioned just now is Diane Carroll. And Diane and
was married to Vic Damone.
Who was married to Vic Damone, right?
Yes.
So Diane and I have been friends since we were 14 years old.
Wow.
Really?
And, yeah, exactly. And it's such a loss for me. She was my real first big time showbiz friend. And we were both 14, only she was 9 months older than me. And I always held it over her head. But I mean, what a loss. Her daughter and I are still in communication with each other. It was just such a, but you know, me, I know the old time people. I mean, I went to LA before the everything shut down to have dinner with my old girlfriend who is 95, 96 now, Cicely Tyson.
My God.
Oh, is that really how old she is?
Yeah. Oh,
she looks great.
But
I just saw her in something. What did I see her in recently?
On you saw her on the Oprah Winfrey channel, I think, in something called, I can't remember what.
Yeah. It was
I can't remember the name of it.
The guy who does the Medea.
Tyler Perry.
Thank you. I couldn't think. Tyler Perry, and she was in his latest movie.
And
I saw it on Netflix.
And she played a character so unlike Cicely Tyson. She was such a but she came to LA as a part of not doing that because she does that in Atlanta. But she comes to LA because she plays Viola Davis's mother on How to Get Away with Murder.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so,
that's cool.
She has been. I'm so privileged to have all these because I'm old. I have a lot of old girlfriends. You know?
Yeah.
I got to meet Sherry Belafonte invited and Tony and I when she lit the tree up atop.
Tony, my heart beats. Go ahead.
I know. And I got to meet someone I'd always admired, which was Beverly Johnson.
I've met her here too with Sherry.
And then I met her again at another party, and my God, she's another that's just gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Just gorgeous.
Guess how far back we go?
I know. I mean, it's like, I know I'm not going to mention anyone that you don't go far back with.
Come on. I have to tell you, at one point I thought, now wait a minute, girl. Why on earth did were you always there? Why were you always in the middle of everything? And there's a reason. When I met Barack Obama, I was there because the event was Norman Lear was introducing him to Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
And so Norman calls me and says, you got to come. There's this guy named Barack Obama. I never even heard the name before.
Was he
Really?
senator?
I read his book way before he became president. I went, I love this.
No. Yeah, exactly. But I only went because I said to Norman, I said, I know what you're doing. You're inviting me because you want Black people there. And he said, yes, I am not going to introduce this man to a sea of white faces. The reason that I got in the middle of so much stuff is because it's like that podcast I did. I was the only one in the room. I was sometimes the only Black person that a lot of people knew. I was the only Black person who had kind of risen above a level in show business that got me recognized and got me invited places.
Respect.
Norman Lear inviting me to his house, which I went to when he was married to Frances Lear, and they used to have these salons at their house. I was always invited, and I think basically, as much as I might bitch about it, it's because I was the only Black person they knew, or the only Black person in the room. Norman Lear, because he did what he did, knew a lot of Black people. But politically, he knew me as a political person, and therefore I was the only person in the room.
Okay, there's another chat.
You know, guys, in Palm Springs, I've always wanted to be somebody. I wanted to be somebody who meant something. And I ran into this lady, and her name was Chase, and I think her name was Chase Burke. And I met her, Melissa, at the Women in Film thing. And she has an organization called Pegasus.
Oh, yeah, I know Pegasus.
Okay, Pegasus, what do? They
For the stroke victims.
Yes.
Not just stroke victims, special needs.
Stroke. My family was involved with them when we first moved here.
Okay, so I now have become their spokesperson.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, and the reason that I became their spokesperson is because I have a grandson. My grandson, RJP, has autism.
Oh,
and you didn't know? Oh, my grandson? Oh my God, the most magnificent human being on the face of this earth.
I think I did. I saw a picture with him. And
my grandson was 4 years old. I took them, he and his twin sister, to a horseback riding therapy for special needs kids, which is what Pegasus is. Yeah. And this woman named Chase Burke, who runs this. Yeah. So it seemed to me a very natural thing for me to get myself involved in. And by the way, and so I'm going to be doing PSAs for them. I'm going to be promoting them because it's real. It's what I did, and it's what I really do care about. Now that I've talked about my grandson, you have exactly a minute to hear about my grandson. Well, first of all, I don't know if any. My daughter is an actress named Dolores Robinson, Pete.
We love.
And I managed her career for 30 years, which she was one of my clients, etc.
I've never worked with her, but I know the name.
Her did 21 Jump Street.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
That's who she is.
Yeah, with Johnny Depp.
It was with poor Johnny Depp. But anyway.
Won't go there.
I love Johnny Depp. But anyway, we were doing, for 4 years, we were a reality show. We were not a reality show that snatched off your wigs and cursed you out and did all that kind of shit. Excuse me. But we were a reality show that Oprah did for 2 years. Oprah did it for 2 years, and then she cut us off, and then I came to Palm Springs, and then Hallmark decided, let's change the name of this show and let's call it Meet the Pete's. Before it was called For Pete's Sake. Let's call it Meet the Pete's, and let's go for 2 more years. So when it was Oprah, we were doing the show because my grandson, who has autism, had to figure out the rest of his life because his twin sister was on her way to NYU. His twin sister, who had always been his voice, was on her way to NYU.
Wow.
And we had to figure out what to do with him to keep him moving. My son-in-law took him to a job audition, a job interview on Ventura Boulevard. My daughter took him to a pet store, which is really good for kids with autism because they do relate to animals. But old grandmommy here, old showbiz grandmommy here, old showbiz grandmommy here took him to her friend, Omar for Men. And Omar had a male modeling agency for handsome young men.
Oh.
Omar called in his famous photographer, Andrew McPherson, who had photographed Clooney on down, and they did a 16-page spread on my grandson, the ambassador to autism, the first male.
I'll have to tell my niece. I'm sure she knows who he is.
So
Oh, no. That's just the beginning of the story, folks. Because my friend, Lon Rosen, and Holly's friend, Lon Rosen, and who had worked as an agent at the William Morris Agency at one point, but mostly he worked for Magic Johnson. He saw that show and he called us up and said, "Are you looking for a job for him?" And we said, "Yes, really." So Holly took him over to see Lon Rosen. Fade out, fade in. I'm not going to take you through the details. But my grandson, if you speak with him now, he who used to, if I introduced him to you, would look through the ceiling, would look to the floor, would look to the door, would look to any way out to get out of communicating with you. Now he looks at you and he says, I say, "RJ, meet my friend Melissa." He'll say, "Oh, hi, Melissa, how are you?" And you'll say, "Melissa, how are you, RJ?" And he'll say, "I'm great. I've been working for the Dodger organization now for 4 years."
Oh my God.
Love that story. Very touching. I have tears.
No.
I'm telling you, you have no idea how the Dodgers have changed my grandson's life.
You have to be fans. I have to be a fan of the LA Dodgers and not New York.
Oh, are you a fan?
Unfortunately, our nickels run out.
Uh-oh.
We need to do a part 2 at some point.
I could sit here and listen to you talking about your life and what you've done and who you've met for at least a bottle of vodka.
I drank my whole Negroni and I'm probably drunk.
A lot more than
Dolores, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for the stories and listening to you. And, you know, you bring back some memories from people along the way that I've met. And so therefore, yeah, we must do this again at some point.
Please invite me back again.
Oh, honey, you are so invited. In fact,
And when this is over, we all need to like get together.
We all need to see each other and be able to touch each other. And
Right.
Tristan, trust me. Please, Tristan, do start writing a book. Get to it, Tristan. You
Yeah.
need to do that.
Same with you.
Okay.
Yes, and you too, because I
Okay.
will buy your book for sure.
Definitely.
All right, everybody.
Stay
So
safe.
comes to an end, 6 blocks apart. Is that right? 6 blocks apart, yes. Tristan Rogers and the cast of idiots say goodnight to you all.
Yay!
And
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
thank you so
Love you,
much to Dolores
Dolores.
Robinson.
Thank you,
All right, everybody.
Dolores.
Good night. Good night. Stay well. We love
Thank
you.
you.